There was a pressure from a lot of large part of the populations in all the 5 countries which asked to abandon the city controls at the borders and to withdraw custom officers and all the rest. And so we tried to do it, but the real effects came thanks to the second Schengen agreement, where the customs were removed from the internal borders, where, as I said, Schengen corridors came in airports and all the rest. And so now it started immediately, and then the so-called Schengen area, first 5 countries evolved, and more countries came into the Schengen area. We are for the moment 26 countries, if I recall well. And most interestingly is that also countries which are not members of the European Union are part of Schengen, like Switzerland or Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein. They are part of Schengen. It's the real Europe.
But the countries that now have signed the agreement and they are now part of it, after 25 years, what do you think now at this moment of the Schengen agreement? Does it work? Is it a good system?
I think that Schengen brought a lot, and most people, and certainly the 3 of you, are unaware how Europe was before. Today you leave your university, you travel to Belgium, to Luxembourg, no control at the border, nothing. When I was at your age, when I went from here to Amsterdam, I was controlled twice at the border. I had to stop, I was boarded by custom officers and so on. That's a liberty which is enormous in a way. And a lot of people are unaware of these liberties they enjoy. Nowadays in the European Union, thanks to Schengen and thanks to the Amsterdam and Maastricht Treaty, you can go and study everywhere. You can go and work everywhere as European citizens and so on. That's the real progress of the European, the so-called 4 liberties, and mainly the liberty of ordinary people to travel and to stay wherever they like to be without being controlled and boarded by police or custom officers. And that's something. And today there are always some political parties who speak that you have to regain control of borders. But today that would happen again. New controls on borders, then you would see that there will be a revolt by European citizens. Schengen is each and every year roughly 1.5 billion people, underline 1.5 billion people, which cross internal borders in the Schengen area without being controlled. 1.5 billion. Do you really think it would be possible nowadays to control 1.5 billion people? There are more than 2 million European citizens who work in the neighboring countries. There are Dutch citizens who work in Belgium, Belgians who work in the Netherlands, or Belgians who work in Luxembourg, in France, and so on and so on. There are Dutch who work in Germany, there are Germans who work in Dutch, and there are more than 2 million people who cross each and every working day internal borders which are without being controlled.
So you say the criticism on the agreement, the people they have that they don't know the facts because of in Great Britain you see it, but they have border control.
They have always had their border control. They never gave up this, but still they have a lot of criminality. You have in the European Union the country with the most inmates is Great Britain. Most people in prison are in Great Britain, so there must also be some criminality over there. They have a lot of illegal immigration. One of the problems of Brexit was this, legal and illegal, they have it. By having, and they still have border control. They had terrorism. Terrorism nowadays is very often something which doesn't come from the outside but from the inside. In Britain, the terrorists who acted were mainly Brits. Norway, who is a part of Schengen, shut the Norwegian borders immediately after this murdering in Stockholm, in Oslo a couple of years ago. You remember the Breivik was the name of the city guy, who killed 90 people or whatsoever. So the first reaction of the Norwegian the Norwegian government was to close the borders, and then they realized that the terrorist was a Norwegian guy, and that he acted alone. So 24 hours later, they re-established the open borders.
And what about, you said all the terrorists and criminality, but what about the refugees? What do you think about that?
Yeah, the refugees are a real problem, but the refugees have not been created through the Schengen Treaty. The problem exists without treaty or without not.
But do you think with the Schengen Agreement you can cross internal borders?
Yeah.
Because if one country doesn't control the external borders very well, does it make the Schengen area more weak?
The idea was from the very beginning that by opening the internal borders, the external borders should be better controlled. And that happened, but nobody was prepared in 2015 to this run of more than 1 million people to the European. Nobody was prepared, to be honest. And some countries did their job. I'm a socialist, but I have deep respect for Mrs. Merkel, the German Chancellor, who is a Christian Democrat, because she was the only European leader who reacted with humanity and accepted to have 1 million refugees in Germany. And Germany didn't die from that. A lot of other countries made a lot of fuss, but the fact of life is that even with that refugee problem, which is now again before our doors, an entity of more than 500 million people like the European Union should be able to digest 1 or 2 million refugees and treat them as human beings.
And now nearly 27 countries in the agreement of Schengen. What do you think will be the future?
The future will be that Schengen will develop, or at least the policy which are based on Schengen, because it's now a policy of the European Union. As I said already, Bulgaria, Romania and Croatia will join shortly. Cyprus is not able to join because they have an internal border which is out of control. The one part of the island is occupied by Turkey. Great Britain is out anyhow. Ireland up to now was not part of Schengen because they have that the only border is with Ulster. I don't know what will happen now, but I think that in some future Ireland will probably also join, so that policy will develop.
There are parties in different countries, like in France of Marie Le Pen.
Also
who are against.
in the Netherlands, Mr. Wilders, what's his name?
Yeah, almost every country has a party who is against the Schengen
Yeah,
Treaty.
that's democracy.
But are you afraid that if one of those parties becomes the biggest in that country, that they step out of the Schengen area? Or that the area can follow north?
There is a possibility, but if somewhere a political party, let's say in Italy, Mr. Salvini comes back, if he decides to go out of step out of the Schengen arrangements, he has to leave the European Union, because these policies are a part of the treaty. I just quoted to you the articles. If you don't want to have, if you want to have control of your own borders and then you have the European Union, as the Brits did it. It's as simple as that. Even these far-right parties, which had some success in a lot of countries, after Brexit, they will think twice before doing this and leave the European Union and leave Schengen.